At Manhattan University, a graduate degree is not out of reach. You'll gain real-world skills, credentials employers value, and connections to New York City's top companies. Choose from their new Master of Science degrees in Healthcare Informatics, Digital Marketing and Analytics, Business Analytics, or Financial Analytics, all built around hands-on learning and industry partnerships. Graduate ready to lead, not just work. Take the next step at manhattan.edu/graduate. Manhattan University. Lead the future.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Taxi!
Okay, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Well, we have the rabbi with us. Is the Reb coming on?
He works today.
He works today. Wait. I think isn't Sunday a day of rest?
No, he's got his congregation. He's got his congregation.
Exactly. We clergy, we work on weekends. We have a Sabbath, we're in the synagogue. Sunday, we're in church. And he's preaching today.
Well, the same thing happened in the Hamptons. They got Rabbi Schneier in charge of West Hampton. They got Father Alex in charge of Southampton. and they have a territory. They can't infringe on each other's territory for money.
That makes it a violation of the trust clause, a market allocation agreement.
Total separation.
Total separation. Well, Rabbi, we love and admire you, and you've been a regular on WABC for about 1,000 years. Tell us, what is the feeling in the Jewish community, or what the heck is going on right now?
Well, there are a number of feelings. Firstly, today we're going to have there'll be conference calls dealing with security because there's heightened security concerns. People, are not going to stay trapped in their homes. They're going to go out. They're going to go and do things they need to do, but they have to do it safely. And thank God we have an NYPD, and thank God we have security organizations that work closely with all of us. So one of the things I urge is that every house of worship make sure that there is a security plan in place during these difficult times. Most of them do it, but sometimes there are those who need to be encouraged. Second thing is, John.
By the way, I want to tell everybody the rabbi is also the head chaplain of the FDNY, the Fire Department of the City of New York. And A.R. Bernard, along with now Cardinal Dolan, is the head chaplain for the NYPD, the New York Police Department. Is that correct?
Well, it takes two of them to do what I do.
Because you demanded twice as much.
Yeah, it's a wonderful moment for us in the sense that we are privileged to work with such people who are so selfless, ready to sacrifice their lives to save our lives. So it's a great honor. As a matter of fact, Cardinal Dolan and they are going to be sworn in this week, and I'll be attending, and others will be there because it's one of those special moments of life where you want to share with people whom you love. And one of the things, John, that all of this points out is how much we need each other, that we can't go through these challenging times alone. So thankfully we have people like you who care. It doesn't matter what the denomination is. We are different and we are the same simultaneously. So I'm grateful. I think we ought to recognize,
that's the way. By the way, that's the way I feel. I don't care if you're Chinese. I don't care if you're black. I don't care if you're green. I even accept the Martians that might be red. I mean, I love all people, and I think the best way, the greatest thing people could do is sit around a round table and I can't say shoot the crap. I can say
if
that.
you look at the Bible
on a Sunday morning, maybe go ahead.
Have a bull session.
If you look at the Bible, there's no reference to color. There's no reference to that kind of difference. When God created the human family, the very beginning, you don't know what background. I mean, they were just human beings, creatures of God, and that's how we have to see each other.
And how do at 3:00 in the morning, I was watching. Besides listening to Walter, I was watching Ancient Aliens, and somebody built those pyramids. It wasn't the Egyptians and it wasn't the Jews. The Jews want to take credit for it because you guys are educated and you guys wrote the books. So you guys are trying to take credit that it was the Jews that built the pyramids.
We're not going back to Egypt. We're not doing that. We've had our years there, no more. But what I want to say to you, John, is on the Jewish calendar, you have Purim, which is going to be celebrated Monday night, Tuesday. And one of the things that it talks about is when Jews lived in Persia. Persia today is Iran. And Haman, a vicious hatemonger, sought to destroy the Jewish people. And he ended up being destroyed. Now, how coincidental? That's divine coincidence. That the story of yesterday becomes the story of today. So you have Khomeini, who thought he was invincible, that his plan, we're going to remove Israel. We're going to take Israel off the map. You remember that famous quotation? And now he's been taken off the earth. So history sometimes does repeat itself. And in this case, thankfully, he is no longer with us.
By the way, I'm not educated in a lot of Muslim or Jewish. I just got a text from one of our favorite people. It says Mandami is a member of the 12 branch of Shia Muslims, the same as the Ayatollah. I mean, I have no clue. Do you know anything about that?
I don't know. I don't know what the story is with that. When you have social media, everybody is able to put down any story they want. But the biggest story is that we need to stand up against this. There are those who are going to defend this action or criticize Israel and America. We need to stand together because this is a threat. This Iran has been a threat not just to Israel, but to America and to all people seeking freedom. Look how many people have been killed as a result of their hatred. And we have demonstrated that working together, Israel and America, the Abraham Accord nations, that we can do something. We can make a difference. We can stop this madman from carrying out his plan because they're very, very, clear as to what they want. When someone tells you, I want to destroy you, believe them. And that's what came across here. So the time has come, and finally something was done which should have been done years ago. I mean, just imagine if we had strangled Iran economically years ago, when if the countries had come together and say, we can't allow them to have the wherewithal, to have the ability to have weapons of destruction, which they had. So we're very appreciative of all the president has done, and that we're at a point now where we're calling the shots, not the other side.
And is there any other your parishioners and your people that you talk to every day? You have a lot of close friends. Are they 90%? I mean, I remember I was upset with you when you said to me that more than 50% of your friends were not going to vote for certain people.
Well,
how do you feel about it now?
The percentage was less. By the way, I was more upset. Because they're members of my community, and I want people in my community to stand up for their community. One of the things I admire about some of our leaders is they stand up for their own, and you got to stand up for others, as you mentioned earlier, but you got to stand up for your own. And when there are people who are ready to sacrifice their own, or to think they're going to somehow receive the adulation or the adoration of others by standing up for others but ignoring their own, they're sorely mistaken. So unfortunately, there are those who vote against their own interest, and we have to call them out. You can't hide that. You can't make excuses for it. But it's an unfortunate, fact.
Rabbi, it's Richard Weinberg. Good to talk to you early in the morning. Let me ask you this question: what did Hillel say? The great Jewish thinker say.
You mean if I'm only for myself? Who am I? If I'm for others?
Where's Eric Levine? Maybe he can help you on this.
If I am not for myself, who will be for me? If I am only for myself, who am I? And if not now, when?
Yeah. And how true is it? But what is he saying?
It shows you Weinberg doesn't go to the synagogue enough.
That's why I need Levine and Potasnik to help me out.
I've seen his attendance record. I know. Well,
you know why? If you guys didn't charge so much for the seat, I guarantee Weinberg would come more often.
That's right. If I could get a raise in this place, maybe I'd afford the seat.
He's a judge who, we give him an accommodation. But, look, I think that statement by Hillel and religious tradition of all the different groups says to us, stand up for your own and stand up for others, and there's no contradiction. But there are those who feel somehow that they can stand against their own and win the approval of others. How well does that work out? It doesn't.
Rabbi, this is Jake Novak. Let's get to something more serious.
Another one of your people.
Yeah.
By the way, not only one of my people, but I was privileged to know his father, who was a great rabbi.
Wow.
Yeah, Rabbi, I have to ask you.
No wonder he's growing a beard.
In all seriousness, you mentioned the holiday of Purim, which is a major Jewish holiday, and you talked about security concerns. This is a night when not only do Jews go to the synagogue, but they sometimes are dancing outside in the streets. This is a very child-centered holiday, and I just got a report that a missile impact in Beit Shemesh, which is in the southern aspect of Israel, a child was seriously injured. Not in a Purim celebration, but so what have you heard about some of the security precautions? What should people going to the services know before they ventured out tomorrow night? Because that's important.
There's going to be a call today at 5:00 with Community Security Services and Community Security Initiative, two organizations that do great work. It's going to be a call all around New York, and people are going to listen and learn as to what precautionary measures should be taken. I would say, that you got to be inside. You have to have a plan. You can't just be walking around outside. And do whatever you're going to do with the guidance of NYPD. Or some security firm that you're working with. But you're right. When you have a celebration, I heard yesterday somebody criticized the UN, said, you attacked us on Ramadan, or was it one of our American members of Congress said, what a disgrace to attack on Ramadan? Over the years there have been attacks against Jews on Jewish holidays. I think back to the Yom Kippur War. Anytime they feel people are vulnerable, that's when they attack. So people need to be extra careful.
Rabbi, the Iranians were killing their own people during Ramadan. So give me a break with that hypocrisy.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and Ramadan is a month long. So you get a month off.
Let me ask you this. How is it, and Eric, I think you've spoken about this, how is it when there have been attacks on Muslims in Iran by the government, you don't see protests on the street? When there are attacks when missiles fell on Israel some time ago, perpetrated by Iran, you don't see protests on the street. And yet when Israel seeks to defend itself, all of a sudden there's this loud gathering to say Israel is wrong.
Eric Levine, I want you to answer that question right when we come back from break. We have to take a break, but Eric Levine will answer the rabbi's question.
We still haven't played the Bill Clinton
we got to do that too. We're going to do it when we come right back. This is a live edition of the Cats Roundtable here on 77 WABC.
If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com.